Welcome to this video. In this video, this is going to be the intro video for the BubbleBase template, which is a framework built on the low-code platform called bubble.io. And the essential purpose of this framework is to help you get from 0 to 0.8 in your MVP or your application rapidly. And so a number of things that we've done in here are we've introduced a whole lot of UI components, which you can use for your landing pages and all throughout your app. We've introduced a lot of reusable elements. So these are elements like CRUD reusable pop-ups, headers, footers, security redirects, which is what we call a reusable element that includes information that's relevant to a lot of different pages within your app, and a number of other things which we think are best practice. So these are methods that we've learned over the past 5 years of application development on Bubble, which we think seriously improve the efficiency and also the organization of your application. So the purpose of this video is to give you a broad overview of the template, what's in the template, what kind of things you can do in the template, and I'll be releasing separate videos to jump into the specifics of more complex things like, for example, Stripe integration and AI integration and stuff like that. Without further ado, I'm going to jump into an introduction of the template and what we're actually looking at here. So I'm going to show you the app in preview mode to begin with. So you'll see we get a landing page straight off the bat. Now this is just using some of the reusable components within the application, specifically the UI components. You can configure this and there's a number of different components in the app. If you go to the app and you look down, you'll see that we've got a whole lot of different hero sections, feature sections, metric sections, CTAs, pricing modules, and stuff like that. So this is the initial static page that you get. Now you also get a contact us page. And you also get terms and conditions and privacy policy pages, which are really basic, but that's where you can basically build the static pages for your site using a bunch of reusable components. And having that pre-set up, to be honest, you can set it up within an hour, in my opinion, with this current setup. So those are your basic static pages. Now, the next thing I'm going to quickly look at is the library page. So we called this the library page, and this is where you can go to set the styles of your app and also look at all of the components that are in the kit in an easy way. Now you'll need to run the app as a user to actually see this. Sorry, as an admin user. And if you load the library page, you'll see you've got two components on the left here. Now this page is really specifically for builders, and users or admins in your app are never really going to see this. This is strictly for the people actually developing the app. So you'll see we've got a drop down of all the different pages that are within the app. So you can see the profile pages, the authentication or login pages. I'm just going to disable the debugger. Authentication pages, and then you can also see blocks. So we've got things like task boards, where you can view task boards, Gantt charts, cards, forms, hero sections, and all these other things. And then we've also got elements. So these are things like date time pickers. So we've got this really cool date time picker where you can select custom date ranges, or you can just select the last 30 days. Cool things like that. We've got notification sections or floating groups, all sorts of cool things. And we've got basic tables as well that are set up to basically be dragged and dropped out of this component library separate section and directly into your app. Now, if you want to customize the way the color schemes and the way things look really quickly, we've got this styles section. So you'll see here we've defined a number of different success, warning, error, info, brand, gray styles. If you want to jump into the styles section of your app and go down to the variables, you can quickly change these, and this will update all of the primary buttons within your app, all the icon colors, the empty states, stuff like that. So you can rapidly change the look and feel of this app because the styles should be set up consistently throughout the entire application. So this is typically the first thing I recommend you do, is jump in here and set up your styling components. It's not the biggest deal because you can always edit that later, but this is a great spot to start. So you've got your component library and you've got your styles. Next up, you can design your static pages, and then from there we'll take a look at what the functionality that you actually get within this app is. So I'm going to quickly log out, and I'm going to take you back to this authentication page. Now we've included the login as a user and login as an admin demo buttons, so you can see what this looks like both as a user and as an admin. The other thing is we tried to set this up with best practice, error management, and all those kind of things, so that rather than having to set up authentication time every time you set up a new app, it's all set up here. You can change, you can delete what you don't need, and you can modify it as whatever your application demands. So first off, we'll log in as a user. Now, it's important to note that the functionality in here is the current functionality at the time of filming, but we're continually adding to this. We'll be fixing bugs, we'll be adding new features, adding new tabs, so that we've got a really comprehensive framework of all different types of functionalities that you guys can use. So if there's extra things in here by the time you watch this video, that could well be the case. So what we start off with is we have a dashboard page. Now on this page, we've just got basic reusable elements. We've got metric cards, we've got some basic charts, and then we've got some tasks. Now, this could be easily changed to whatever you're looking to build. These are just some example widgets that we've got on the page. We've got a task section. So if you're building some sort of CRM app, there's a good chance you may want some sort of Gantt chart, board, task list functionality, similar to those tools like Trello, Monday, Pipedrive, all those kind of things. We've got a dynamic form. Now this form is actually built using fields in the database. And the reason we set it up like that is because you don't actually have to change anything on the front end. It's not, all you have to do to add and subtract questions or change the question types in here is to modify your database. So it's a really cool way of setting up a form. We've got a chat. So you can set up easy chat messaging infrastructure within your applications, both group chats and single chats. And then we've got an AI integration. So you guys will need to register some sort of LLM or API integration to get this to work. So we've set this up with OpenAI. If you wanted to use another LLM, you'd have to set that up in the API connector. But you can come in here and you can actually prompt this with questions. And then we have a PDF generation tool. Now, what this is really for is demonstrating that you can actually generate PDFs server-side from within a Bubble application using the design tools available in Bubble. So rather than having to use a lot of the other plugins where you either have to render the PDF client side, and the issue with that is if a user session breaks, they log out, there can be issues there. They also tend to be a little bit buggy because they rely on the HTML structure of the page. You may have a number of other things going on that page. We like to do it server side. So once the button's clicked, it's triggered server side. The user can log out, they can close the browser, they can do all those kind of things. And for some PDFs, generation can take 10, 20, 30 seconds. So that's really best practice. That's what this page is set up to show you an example of. Now, in addition to that, you've got your notifications tab and you've got your My Profile and your billing sections. So your My Profile, basic profile settings, password settings, email settings, payment settings, and account deletion settings. Then we've got the billing section. So this is actually set up to work with Stripe, and I've got a separate video on exactly how to set Stripe up to match this, but it's also pre-set up in this framework. But if you want to understand exactly how it's working, I'd really recommend checking out that video. In here, you can manage your billing, you can view your previous payment history, view invoices that have been issued to you. You can change your plan, you can purchase credits, and you can do all those kind of things. So in the initial stage, that's what this user platform does. Now, if your app doesn't need most of these features, that's completely fine. You can either hide them or remove them. The purpose of this is that what we want to do is we want to build a lot of common features that are in SaaS apps, marketplace apps, internal tools, so that every time we go to build, we simply look at what features we might need within our app. We can keep those, and everything that we don't use, we either hide or we delete. What you can also do is set up this really cool button with an animation. You can use that wherever you like within your app. Now, I'll quickly show you through the admin dashboard. So if I log out and I log in as an admin, you'll see I jump into this admin dashboard. Now, who is this for? So this is really for clients that you build apps for, or if you're building your own Bubble app, it's for you to view the status and what's actually happening within your own application. So you've got a basic dashboard. Now on here, it really depends on your app type. You might have a number of users in your application. If you're running subscriptions, you may have some charts or some tables showing subscription data. You may have all sorts of cool things in this dashboard. We've got a user list, so you can view all the users within your app and do things like view and edit them. You've got a subscriptions tab. So this would be where if you have subscriptions within your app, you can view each subscription and just view key information about that subscription. Got a mail management section. So if you wanted to send emails from your admin dashboard, you could do that. Then we have an API log section. So what this is really good for is triggering any issues with any APIs and being able to diagnose errors in your API logs section of the admin dashboard. It's a lot more user friendly than what Bubble gives you just in the database. And it's a really good way to keep track of exactly what's happening within your application and jump onto any bugs that occur really quickly. If you've got any further ideas on things that you think might be really common and could be missing in this template, feel free to reach out in the comments here or on the Bubble forum thread for this, and we'll definitely take a look at that and see if we can't get it added. Now, from the application side of things, we've talked about the page structures. What I wanted to also show you was the actual reusable elements that we use here. Now, we use a number of different reusable elements, one being this security redirect reusable. Now, what this does is it goes on every page. We make the width and height 0 because it has no visual elements in it. But what it does have is a number of workflows that are common and usually need to be triggered across multiple pages in your app. Now, the reason we set up a common reusable element for this is because if we're using these same actions on multiple pages, we'd rather just set them up in one place. So if we ever need to change them, we can change them all in one place rather than having to change them in multiple places. And if there's any ever bugs, those bugs are going to occur in one place rather than us having to dig through each page and find out where the bug is. So it's a lot more manageable. You'll see it's in folders. We've got things like logging for logging API requests. We've got things for Stripe, so your basic custom events for checkout, creating and updating subscriptions. We've got events for toasting. We've got user page controls, so making sure that the correct users are on the correct pages, authentication, and other things like that. So this is one of the really cool reusables we have in the app. Another one is authentication. So with this authentication reusable, you can drag and drop it in whatever kind of UI you want, but this is where the login, the sign up, and all that kind of stuff happens. So if you want to change the way, or you have multiple login pages or something like that, it's a nice way to keep everything in one reusable. We've also got our pop-up. So our CRUD pop-up works in a unique way. So what we do, if you look at the custom states in the pop-up, you'll see it has 3 custom states. And with these 3 custom states, we can basically create a CRUD operation for almost every record in your database. So the way this works is we have 3 fields. We have the record ID, so that's the unique ID of the record that you're working with or you're looking to perform some sort of CRUD operation on. So let's say, for example, you wanted to create, read, update, or delete a user. So what you do is you'd pass the unique ID of the user in this field, or you'd set that state somewhere outside this reusable element. You then tick the CRUD operation you're looking to perform, so either whether that's create, edit, view, or delete. Then you'd select the record type, so you'd select the user. And so what we do from there is we actually use a conditional to display the relevant group based on what the record type is. Then you can change the actions in here based on the CRUD operation. So if you're just viewing, you'd remove all of the edit controls. So any icons that let you edit or those kind of things, you'd remove those. You'd maybe change the button, so you'd remove the save button. But if you're looking to edit or add, you could change the way that this looks based on the operation that's being performed. And then you can pull the information into it by searching for the user with the unique ID that has the record ID of this user. Obviously, you need to keep in mind certain privacy rules and stuff like that when you're building this. But what this allows us to do is, instead of having 10 to 20 pop-ups for all the different record types that you have in your application, you can build one pop-up, you can show and hide groups based on the record type. And so it allows you to keep things really organized, and all of the workflows associated with CRUD operations are in one reusable, and they're really easy to source. So it's a really easy way of managing all the CRUD operations with your app, which can really bog down your main page if you're using a single page app and you've got a whole heap of data types and all these CRUD operations, you end up having hundreds of workflows in your workflow tab. So it's a really easy way to organize things. Another one we have is the floating groups sidebar. Now this sidebar, again, actually uses database fields to pull the nav options rather than using static icons. So the reason for that is we can really quickly change exactly what they look like and what's in the side nav just by using a repeating group. and actually just modifying the DT side nav's data type. So that's another example. Now, what you can see here is we've kind of tried to build a really lightweight structure that you can load into your app. You get a working user environment, you get a working admin environment, you get pre-set up authentication, you get access to a whole range of components to use, you get a whole range of features set up. So you get Stripe features set up, OpenAI features set up, chat, tasks, forms, all those kind of things that are really common in a lot of applications. So that instead of having to start from scratch on a lot of these apps, hopefully you can modify your style guide, you can drag and drop and change some components, you can delete what you don't think you're going to use in your app, and then hopefully you're from 0 to 0.8 in a lot of these basic MVPs in the space of just a couple hours, rather than taking days to rebuild authentication, rebuild form functionality, rebuild Stripe, all those kind of things. So that's really what we're trying to solve with this template. And again, the other benefit here is that if it's tried and tested and proved on this template, it's also more secure. So not only do we get to build quicker, but we know that the features work stably because they've worked in a number of apps, and we're not rebuilding them every time. We're rebuilding them once, testing them, making sure they work, and then we're duplicating them in every app that we build. So that's really the purpose of this template. And what really helps is any feedback from you guys on anywhere you think that we may have missed the mark on certain features in here, or anything you think might be missing or not documented and explained well enough. I'd love to hear about it. We want to update our documentation, and we want to get this template as comprehensive and as usable as possible. But what I also want to quickly show you is how you can actually access the documentation. So if you come down here and you click documentation, you will be taken to the documentation link, which has a number of explanations on what's happening in the app. Now, we really want to develop this further, and we want to get this really clear. So anything in here that you think isn't explained well enough or should really have more explanation, I really want to hear about it. So feel free to reach out on the Bubble forum, in the YouTube comments here, or you can join our completely free no code and AI builders community, which will be linked in the description below. I really hope that you guys find use in this template. Now, I've been building on Bubble for the last 4 or 5 years, and to be honest, some of the things in here, I honestly wish that I'd known a whole lot sooner, and it took me a little bit too long to figure some of the things out that we've put in this template. But I really hope that it helps you build quicker and more scalable applications, and hopefully it brings you a lot of value as a builder. So if you want to join our community, I'd love to talk back and forth on what you think could be added to this framework so that we can build hopefully the most comprehensive base template on the Bubble marketplace. Good luck building. I wish you all the best in your apps, and I want to thank you again for watching this video.